Good afternoon, Shaggy SoCal will tour for Forza, and stand by. I'm going to reset the mic. Hit the right button. Three, two, 1, 0. Okay, hopefully we're back. So, Shaggy SoCal tour for Forza, and next track guide, though it's not going to be really, it's a track orientation, I guess, more than a guide. But second race this week is because we're racing Niki Lauda's Ferrari 312 from the 1976 season. It has been chosen that we are going to race the Nordschleife, and so I'm going to take a slightly different tack with this, just because it's such a long lap and there's a lot to it. I'm really just gonna. I'm not gonna actually do kind of what I typically do, where I drive an outlap and then I'll do the track guide. I'm just gonna go straight into kind of the kind of mix the two together, a hybridization, say, of the flying lap, demo lap, as well as the track walk. Um, right before the season began, just because the Nordschleife is a long, difficult circuit to master, and especially with this car, with its idiosyncrasies. It's again, as I jokingly said, it's got downforce, but not as much as we want. It's got mechanical grip, but not as much as we want. And given the bumpy nature of the circuit, I thought, let me go ahead and set a lap in rivals, and that way, on your own time, you can either chase by ghost if you practice in rivals, or if you want to actually get a vague idea of what I'm doing. So I thought probably best, just to use that rivals lap and kind of go through it. And I'll probably run it at full speed. I may be stopping and starting and pointing things out. So it's going to be kind of a mix of what it looks like at speed. The only thing you don't see is you're not going to see the braking line necessarily, but you'll see plenty of that in the mock race. So let's go ahead and load up. Let's go ahead and load up my replay. And before we get too far into it, let's go ahead and pause that. And let's put on game cameras. And I'm going to pull up the telemetry. All right, so the general rule of thumb here is the main thing is, besides just surviving, is just knowing what curbs you can use, what curbs you can't, and just what gearing you need to be in, what things to look for. So right off the beginning of the lap, your first turn is second gear. Roll into the throttle, stay off the curbing. So any curbing that's got any significant slant to it is probably not good curbing to be on. Exit curbing, for the most part. You really want to try and stay off of that. Apex curbing depends. So coming down this next corner here, you're going to pass the 2 kilometer sign. I'm in fourth gear. I'm just going to lift the throttle and turn in. And it's kind of one of those, I'm going to lift as I turn in, and I'm going to start rolling back into the throttle as I get to the apex. Put back full on the apex, fifth gear. This next braking, you're going to see I'm going to get it wrong here, but what I'm trying to do is, at this point, it's a braking in for the first part of the corner, apex. I'll probably be in the throttle a little bit, in fourth gear. Then I brake again, drop it to third before I start then going through these next series of S's. Was it Hassenbach? Is this what? I don't know all the Nürburgring. I mainly know the corners of the Nürburgring that I've crashed a lot at. So, but not all of them. But what I make a mistake here, and I'm going to point out, the other risk with the Nürburgring is a lot of places, we don't have, runoff areas. We have the white line, and you might have a little bit of asphalt past that, and then it's grass. And here's the mistake I make here is I cheat a little bit too much to the right side. And as I get on the brakes and turn in, I barely have the right rear tire off the asphalt, and it pitches the car sideways. Let me back that up so you can kind of see. I mean, I got my braking right. I just did not leave myself enough wiggle room. Still just kind of gather it up, get it back down into third. And here for this next section, you know, stay off the curbs there. You could run out there, but it's these next 2 or 3 curbs. You can use a little bit of the curbing there. Still in third gear, ease off the throttle, turn the car in. I can use a lot of the curbing here. Roll back in a little bit, ease off, give it a little brake. Use a little bit of the inside curbing there. Stay off the exit curbing outside there. Pull back into the throttle. Down to third gear. Again, I'm trying to stay off the curbing as much as I can. Now the run to fug plots. Fifth gear. So I'm going to do this full throttle. I'm going to shut up for a second. Let's go ahead and rewind that. So what I'm looking for is, it is fifth gear. It is a rhythm thing. So what I'm looking for is I'm cresting the hill. You know, the car's going to get a little bit airborne, but the first thing I'm trying to spot is, now you see the 78 board, and at the 79 board, you can see the red marking on the Armco. That's kind of what I'm looking for. So as I'm getting to that, you already see on my throttle trace that I'm starting to back out of the throttle, and I'm starting to turn in. So it's basically, I hit this point, I'm out of the throttle, I'm turning the car in, and I'm aiming for the inside curbing. Now I probably overdid it a little bit here, but you know, I'm still kind of, actually let me back this up, break this down even a little more. So it is off the throttle, barely. You can see I do get down to no throttle, but I'm still way back here on the turn in. And it's by, for me, it's by feel. Once I've done that and I've turned the car in and I feel like the car's set, that I know it's not going to push or like that, I'll start to roll back into the throttle. The whole goal is, you know, by the time I get to this first apex, I should be able to get back into full throttle. Let's see where I actually get back into full throttle. Oops, that was fast. So hit the apex here. Still haven't quite got back in. So it's after that first apex. When you're back here, you should be able to get back to full throttle at this point, heading down to Swedish Cross. I will say from our practice race on Thursday, this in traffic is going to be a bit sketchy, because that right-hander is such done at speed. Everybody's going to be doing it differently. I wouldn't be surprised, and even for me, if we go off wide there, or we're going to have different rates, the closure rate down this next stretch, depending on how you exit the previous corner, could be huge. And this is very narrow. It's very, you know, it's pay attention. And that's the best way. I think I got a big run. I'm not sure. I think it was Darby, and I got a big run on him, and I messed up trying to figure out, because the closure rate was so great, and this isn't quite a straight down to the next down to Swedish Cross. I wasn't sure. I was a little indecisive of which side I was going to try and pass him on, and then wound up dropping tires off, and then clocking the Armco, and then it created a whole situation with the traffic behind me. So it's, if you get a big run, it's probably a good idea. If you get a run out of here, you might still just want to ease off the throttle a little bit, just to give yourself a chance to really kind of understand like where the car in front of you is going to be if you're going to try and make a pass before you get to Swedish Cross. So enough said about that. So down here, full throttle, and Swedish Cross here. Now, usually I want to stop at about here. For Swedish Cross, depending on the car and depending on handling, downforce, you know, tires, mechanical grip, I'm usually using the signs as kind of the guide, as kind of the guides of what I'm going to be doing through here. So, you know, in a car with less downforce, a little more sliding, you know, the first danger sign there, I would use that as the as kind of like the point. Either I'm going to release the throttle, I might brush the brake a little bit, um, you know, and usually then the second set of signs is usually kind of like, all right, I need to have my braking done before there, or I'm turning in there. It's each car will be a little bit different of how you do that. For this car, it's pretty much, if you're brave, you can do it full throttle. It just, you don't get a lot of help. I'm going to back it up and we'll do it full speed so you can see what it looks like. And then I'll do a slow breakdown of what I'm, what I did on this lap. Oops. Sorry, hit the wrong button. So again, full throttle. So in breaking it down, what I've done is, as I'm getting to that first sign, you're going to see I'm still full throttle, but if you start to look at the steering, I'm just now starting to steer in. I'm a little off there. And really, as you get past that second 5 kilometer sign, you better really be steering in. But I'm trying to aim for the inside of the curbing at the crest of, at where the road crests. So that's where I'm trying to apex. And if you do it right, the car does get a little bit light here. And if you do a nice smooth, and it is a very subtle smooth turn in, if you do it right, then the car will set, when you crest the hill, it'll set nicely. You can hold the inside line the whole way through. If you're a little too, if you're late or if you're a little too harsh with it, then you're starting to risk going off wide or having bad stuff happen. So it's one of those, you can do it flat out, but you really have to be spot on with your steering and very smooth with it. If you do need to do a confidence lift, I don't think you need to come all the way out of the throttle. You might just want to come just a smidge out. But, again, we don't have to worry about crash damage or injury or like that. So try it full throttle once or twice and to get into the rhythm of it. But if you do it right, keep it to the left side all the way through, sets you up nicely for the next right-hander here. So down to second gear, all the way through, roll into the throttle. Now we're heading down to Foxhole. So it's another one, another area. It's kind of it's a straight, but not really a straight. Heading down to Foxhole down here. So I'm going to stop it here. So the braking for me for this next one, when I hit to this part and hit Foxhole, I'm trying to spot the red graffiti spot in the middle of the road, just up ahead. That's what I'm looking for in kind of my reference with the braking line as far as where I need to brake with this car. So I'm going to bring it to the left side. I'm going to brake, downshift again, down to third, up, wide here, late apex here, still second gear, use a bit of the inside curbing there. You can get away with a little bit more and roll back out. So let me rewind it. Rewind it. Let me back it up a little bit. So I'm trying to talk through it at speed. And so again, for me, it's as I get to that red spot, you can already see I'm off the throttle, onto the brake. It's not a heavy brake either. Well, it's a quick brush brake, downshift to fourth, turn it to the inside. I'm going to try and use, you can abuse, this is a curbing. It's kind of like it's a subtle curb with a flat brick. You can use a bit of that. And I'm almost back to full throttle. Brake again, downshift to third. Probably not the best line through here. But then what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set wide here, get it down to second. Late apex, still second gear, wind it in. Again, you can use a bit more of that inside curbing than I am here. Not much more. Stay off the outside curbing. Again, this outside curbing is pretty significant, so be careful on that, especially if you kiss the rear tire on it. It might be enough to then upset the back of the car and send you across to the right side of the track. And I even kind of oversteered a little bit there as well, getting back to throttle. All right, so head down towards the tower. All right, I can see Jimmy Broadbent's Rebel Tree there. So as I pass the Rebel Tree, I'm actually going to let the car just kind of treat this as a turn, take it to the inside. It lets the car naturally drift out to the right side. For this next corner, you do need to brake for it. Up to you. I think you can do it in fifth or fourth gear. I did it in fourth for this lap just to be on the conservative side to make sure I could get the car in. Roll back into the throttle. Brake just as you pass the exit curbing on the right side, then you'll brake here. This is definitely third gear. Probably turned it a little early. Hug the right side. Stay off the curbing hug the left side. Stay off the curbing on the right side. Still in third gear, late apex. and heading down to miss hit miss. This is another one. There's a couple problem areas I have with the Nordschleife consistently, where it's like I will never ever get it perfect every lap, and more often than not, I'm doing something wrong. This next couple of turns with this car, I don't do all that well at. I don't do all that well at. So I'm in fourth gear here. I'm going to brake and let off the gas. The way this turn throws me a little bit. As you can kind of see as we're going into it, we do have a little bit of a banking. You get a little bit of banking going in, kind of crests out. What happens is we go into the banking of the apex, it crests out. We kind of cross over the crown of the road, and that's a little bit banked in for the entry heading into hit miss. But with this car, what I'm finding is as I get to this first part, we're going to get a bit of compression. It's really going to, the front tires are really going to get loaded up. And so depending on how much steering you have in or what you're doing going in, it's possible the car might lurch a little more to the left than you expect it to. And it's because of that compression at apex. So it's one thing I have to be careful of there. I push a little bit wide and get under the curbing here. So ideally, I'm going to try and stay off the curbing. But now this is a miss hit miss. So there's with the way the curbing is, there's 3 sets of curbing through here. So to quote Rocky Ford, it's like I see 3 of them, hit the one in the middle. Same philosophy here, at least the ideal line. By miss, you don't want to be like all the way to the left side, but you don't necessarily have to hit each apex of each curbing. Stay off the first one a little bit, be on the apex for the second one, and you can be off the apex, off the apex of the third one. I probably was a little close on the third, but so I missed the first one there. This is the second one you kind of want to hit, and then you can be off this one. I kind of apex this one. You can be off it a little bit and let the car come out. Braking for me, if I can't see, and we'll see what it looks like at speed in correlation to the braking line. Usually I'm looking at, for references here for the Nürburgring, because there's so much graffiti and discoloration on the Armcos. And things like the kind of the red splotch there on the Armco, the red graffiti there, and not the harsh red, but just prior to that. That's easy for me to spot as I come down to it. So I'm usually braking right as I pass that. Down to second gear, brake there, actually third, now down to second. I'm going to late apex this corner. And as I accelerate out, as I get to the apex here, I'm going to short shift to third. It just makes the exit here a little bit easier because you are kind of cresting out across the crown of the road. And again, we know with this car in second gear and high RPM, the back tires are going to want to spin up and step out on you if you're too aggressive on the throttle. So short shift to third gives you a little bit more play in the throttle on the exit. Staying off the curb, third gear, fourth gear. Going to brake back down to third right as the curbing ends on the right side. Staying off the curbing, neat and tidy. Still third gear, braking here just as you get to the edge of the curbing on the left side. Roll back into the throttle on the way out. Now we head down to heading down to the loudest kink where he famously crashed and almost lost his life in '76. Keep it to the left side. Braking, third gear. This is another one. It's very easy, and I kind of did it here. Again, this is another one. You got a pretty severe curbing on the inside. You probably can get on the curbing on the inside a little bit. It might push the car wide. You really do want to try and be neat and tidy on the exit. You really want to avoid having your left rear kiss the curbing on the outside. Actually, on this, you'll see I've done it, and it's going to lurch the car back or right a little bit, and I have to recover. But it's one of those, like if you find that you're getting on that curb, you might just want to stay off the throttle just that smidgen longer until you get back full 4 tires on the asphalt, then roll into the throttle. Heading up the hill, fifth gear flat out, channel with the steering. Curbing's relatively flat, but it's pretty easy to stay off of it. And we're heading up to the corner of Courage. I'm going to just let it go through here and then I'll back it up. That's the corner of courage. So what I'm looking for is this one. You can, if you feel you need to drop it to fourth, I think you can. I don't really think you need to. What I'm looking at, excuse me, as I'm heading up here the corner courage, what I'm looking for is you can see the discoloration of the Armco. So you can see on the left side that, you know, that section of like new shiny Armco on the left side. That's what I'm using as my reference point. It also kind of lines up with the braking line. It lines up with the curbing on the right side. So as that Armco goes out of view, you can already see on the throttle, I'm starting to back out of the throttle. And it's one of those, I'm going to out of the throttle to turn in. But once I've started to turn in, I'll start rolling back into the throttle. Probably won't be full throttle apex, but I'll probably look to get to full throttle past apex by the time I get to the exit. So it's release the throttle on the way in, starting to roll back past the apex. Now I fully commit back to full throttle. I'm at full throttle by the time I get to the exit curbing on the right side. Heading on the next kink, also similarly challenging, but it's the same thing. Fifth gear. Yeah, it's kind of like, I think as you get past this curbing on the left side, it's just out of the throttle to turn the car in. As I get to the apex, I'm right back on the throttle. The car's going to push wide, but if you get the line right, you're straight out to the left side. Now I take a different line, and I don't know if this is the right line through here. It's the line I take for the braking. Is I think the standard line, if you're going to brake for this next right-hander, is to actually follow the curbing and stay on the left side to brake and then turn. But what I tend to do is I tend to actually straight line it from the apex of this curb on the left to the apex of the curb on the inside. And, you know, the risk of that is, you know, it is one of those, it is one of those, if I don't get the braking done, then I'm going to go straight on and be late and maybe tag the wall. But usually my preference is I'll just brake straight to the inside of the curb, release the throttle, second gear, keep it to the inside, and then roll out. Heading up towards the carousel. No real reference point. I'm relying on the braking line. But I am aiming, you know, if you look at the trees, yeah, the braking line actually lines up, I think, with it. But if you can see the AMG sign, if you can just see the tree that just overlaps the right side of that sign, if you point straight at that as you head up the hill, that's going to get you kind of on line for the carousel. And then down to second gear, roll in. Controller users, good luck. Again, feather the throttle, keep it on the curbing. And then exit out. I'm going to exit for, you know, you're going to actually then cross over. I think exit a little too early. You won't hold it inside all the way to the left. You're just going to exit out, kind of cross the crown of the road into the right-hander here, kink. I came out a little early and hit the inside curbing. Then heading up the hill, fourth gear. Here's sketchy area number 2 for me. And it's this left-hander. I'm doing a confidence lift. It's the same thing. It's just lift as I turn in, roll back into the throttle. You might be able to do it full throttle. I don't know. Still in fourth gear. It's this next corner that if I'm going to crash, this is where I'm going to crash, because it's very easy to get the car too far to the right side and then I end up dropping the right rear on the curbing as I'm getting to the brake and turning in, and it pitches the car sideways and I'm in the Armco. But here I kind of kept it neat and tidy. It's brake, still fourth gear. Staying off the curbing. Fourth gear, drop it down to third. And if I've done it right, a little bit oversteer there, but on the way out. Now we get into probably one of my most favorite sections of the Nürburgring, because it's these nice little left-right combos. It's all about just keeping balance with the throttle. Little brake here or there, depending, but still fourth gear. He's off the throttle, turn in, roll back in. He's off the throttle, turn in, roll back into the throttle. Little brake here at the end of the curbing. Still fourth gear. Get the catch fence. Now the setup for this is I like setting up a little bit wider here so that I can late apex it and get the car lined up at the white bricks here on the left side. Um, and I am in third gear. I'll stay in third gear. Actually, where did I downshift? I downshift on the braking for that corner, didn't I? Oh no, yeah. So it is a brake and downshift, but I'll stay a little bit wide. Line it up with the white bricks there on the left side, brake again, and then turn it in. I forget what the true name of this corner is. It's been nicknamed YouTube because this is where, when they show all the Torsten Farten videos of people going wide and crashing, this is probably one of the most of the corners where you see most of those videos are shot from. So this is YouTube, out to the left side. You can get on the curving there, I think, a little bit. I stayed off of it for this lap. Excuse me, still third gear, braking just as you're reaching the curving on the right side. Turn in, go back into the throttles. Again, I'm really just trying to stay off the curving as much as possible. This one, ideally you want to apex it, I think a little later than what I did here. Back into the throttle. Oop, little oversteery. All right, here's the other tricky one, fifth gear. So let me run this full speed and then I'll backtrack it. So I've tried to do this in fifth gear, and I think just from a confidence standpoint, fourth is going to be the most. It's going to be more consistent for me. But it's really as you plunge down in, when you hit the compression, when the car finally compresses, this is where I'm going to give it a quick brake and a downshift to fourth, so that I can turn in. And I'm really not getting back into the throttle until I'm past that first apex. And even here, I'm still feathering the throttle up through here. And as I crest the hill, now I'm putting it back in fifth. Now we're hitting a problem area number 3 for me. Is this last section heading to the little carousel. This is probably going to be the most treacherous section for all of us. If there's another place where we're going to all go off, it's here. So I'm in fifth gear at this point. You can go full throttle down at least this first part of the hill. This is where I go confidence lift. As I get to the compression, just as I reach the curving here at the end of the left side, you can already see I'm coming off the throttle. I am off the throttle, mid throttle, feathering the throttle. I'm not trying to do this flat out. There's no bonus points or brownie points to be able to say you can do this full throttle. Stay off the throttle, keep the car composed, follow the line through, try and stay off the curving, keep your steering smooth. It's usually, you can see, I think once you get past that curving, if you've done it right, you can probably, I got back to full throttle at this point. There may be laps I'm still going to be feathering the throttle until I get completely through it. To the left side. And then the other final, this is where, when we did the GT cars on the Nordschliefe, this is the other place that I binned it, because I didn't get the braking right here. Usually I'm looking for that catch fence there on the inside as kind of a reference of, hey, I need to brake either just as I get to it, just before it, just after it. And this car's just after it, down to fourth gear. And what I did in the Viper is I missed that braking and got way wide. What's it, this? Yeah, I've been at multiple places, but a lot of times it's very easy to get too far to the left when you get into braking, or as you're braking, the car slides out to the left side, drop tires off, and then it just sucks you into the Armco. Pull back into the throttle. I think in the Viper, I made the mistake here where, in getting the brakes, I was too far to the right and dropped tires and got sucked off into the Armco. Again, fourth gear, brake again, down to third. Late apex, trying to stay off the curving, Still in third gear, brake just as you get to the little carousel, just let the car go in, get it to the inside, use the inside of the curving, let the car slide out early. Careful on the throttle here on exit. I probably got the throttle a little bit too early, because even this last part, we still haven't fully exited the corner. It's gonna it's going to drop off a little bit. So it's even possible. Give yourself some room on the right side, because if the car's still sliding out, especially if you lose a little grip as it crests this little hill and it kinks to the left a little more, it's another place you can easily drop tires off and end up in the Armco. Heading up the hill, if you look at the Armco on the left side, you can see kind of grayish, and then it goes really dark gray and then light gray. I'm just giving it a brush brake just so I get to that dark gray, and then turning in, get the apex there, roll back into the throttle. Then it's just a little lift to turn the car in, get to the apex, roll back into the throttle, and then we're on the long straightaway that I forget the name of that one. I think it starts with an H, but very, very long straightaway. Possibly you get a good run out of this corner. We know this car does draft, so you might be able to get a draft. You might be able to bump draft, but I'm going to keep to the right side here. Should pass where they come up for the excuse me, tourist laps. I'm talking too much. I'm not breathing enough. Getting to the bridge here. Just take the line, take the traditional line through there, hug the inside, let the car come back out. All right, this is where the suggested line lies to you. It's going to go all red up here through the kink, these next two kinks. This car, you do not have to, if you've got the line right, you're smooth with your steering, you can take it flat out. So flat out through here, flat through here. Where you're going to want to brake is just as you get to the apex, just before you get to the apex here on the left side at the 50, I guess that's a 50 kph sign. And I'm a little off, I might flirt with hitting that inside of that Armco, because you do want to, you do, that was probably a little early there. I probably want to be a little bit later so that it lines me up better on the left side, so I can drop the car, I can hit the brakes, get the car down to second gear, and I can use a little bit of curving there, probably a little more than I needed to. Inside curving there, keep it to the left side. Brake just as you're passing the blue right-hand turn sign. I'd imagine the little danger sign there, we're going to knock that off before the end of the first lap, or at the end of the first lap. Don't hit the Armco in the inside there, roll back into the throttle. And again, braking for turn one is going to be just as you reach start finish to finish the lap, you have to brake for turn one to start the next one. So that's the Nordschleife. Again, with this car, it's really just managing the throttle, knowing where the bumps are, knowing what curbs you can use, what curbs you can't. And hopefully if you can do that, you can stitch a decent lap together. So that's kind of the demo lap. For the mock race portion, just because I have no idea what Matt's gonna do on Thursday, because I'm actually let's go ahead and go into race setup and let's load up. Actually, I don't need the controller anymore. Let's load save options. Let's load the Nordschleife. So what I'm going to do is, let's just set that and load in. So I'd say an average or decent lap is what, 6.5 minutes, average. Excuse me, don't know what everybody else is doing, but if we go into history, we know that that fateful 76 German Grand Prix at the Nordschleife was raining. No, I didn't do my proper research, as I don't know how badly it was raining throughout the race, or at the time of Niki Lauda's accident, what the conditions were. What I'm going to do is, just for kicks and giggles, is I'm actually going to run a 6-lap rain race, rain race, which is, I'm guessing, depending on is probably 1 to 2 laps longer than what we may do on Thursday. Again, the Nordschleife is tough to figure out. It's one of those, if it was an enduro race where this was the only race we were running, we'd probably be doing a few more. But this is going to feel really, really short. That it might be as short as 4 laps. I don't think he'll do 6. So we'll see what happens. But what I'm going to do is, For this, I'm actually going to start in the wet, fully in the wet for the first third of the race. Then I'm I want to go drying because I do want, the first 2 laps to be in the rain. It'll probably stop raining sometime during lap 3, and then hopefully, maybe by lap 6 that it will be fully dry, and then so we get kind of that whole mixed conditions. I'm not saying that it's going to be a rain race on Thursday. I'm just saying that it would not surprise me if Matt does that. So we'll start this race out. I have made one small change to my buckets. I'm actually going to start at the very back at 60 seconds. I'm starting the P1 cars at 55, 50, maybe 58. I may have just reversed it and had them start at either I'm starting them at 55 or 58. I'm starting at 60. As far as Forza P1, or sorry, the P2 cars, they're starting when they normally start. And obviously the 70s Formula F1 cars, 70s Formula F1, 70s F1 cars, they're starting at the drop of the green flag. Yeah, so or maybe I didn't get my delays reset. Well, let's see where everybody starts. But I'm gonna take a stab and say that. Oh, let's see how the AI does here. Oh, puddles. So one of the things in the rain, obviously we have less grip. There are puddles and they are treacherous. So you just might want to be, and that's the other thing, sometimes the braking line will hide puddles that you should avoid, like those that were on the right side there. So just gonna stay out of the throttle if the car starts to push. Oh, look, my God, look at that. And I have not driven a full rain here. Please, no puddles at Swedish Cross. Please, no. Oh, okay, there's puddles there. Gonna have to remember that next lap. So at least, one of my first reactions is if I feel the car is really sketchy, is just get out of the throttle, not really get to the brake first, not immediately get to the brake, at least get out of the throttle and see if the car settles. If it doesn't, then, it's like, do I need to get to the brake? Do I need to do, and I'm not really doing a lot with the steering either. Oh, understeer, understeer, understeer. Lots of puddles there. Big puddle there. There's more miss hit. Even in third, you can spin those rear tires up. I think we may need to bribe Matt and say no rain, please. I mean, the Nordschleife is. I just saw those puddles at the last second. It's difficult enough in this car. Just to add at least for me, it's like, I mean, just wet with lower grip is, I think we would be able to deal with, but it's just the random, well, I don't want to say the randomness, but because those puddles, if you can see them before you hit them, it's just the puddles are the making this much more treacherous. Puddle there. Oh, like a lake. Really have to look as far ahead as possible to spot where whoa! I am so glad I only set the rain for the first 2 laps. Still be dealing with puddles for a bit. Oh! Did you see that puddle just jump out and grab my front tire? Never saw that. All right, let's see if we can apply what we've learned and not wreck where we wrecked previous lap and find all new places to wreck. Like there. So we know, as we learned the hard way, that there's a big puddle right at the entrance to Swedish Cross. I'm going to keep it to the middle this time. And I'm going to just slightly brake. and turn the car. Almost like you, in the rain, you almost want to drive it straight down the middle of the track. Puddles all seem to be right at the apexes and exits of corners. Third. And as soon as I got to the brakes, I knew it. They knew it was like, that's not going to be good. Short shift. Confidence lift there. A little gentler on the throttle. Shift there just again. When in doubt, both feet out. a little bit better of a lap. We will pit at the end of lap 3. Let's pit halfway through. And hopefully... excuse me, that was rude. Hopefully, if I've set the weather right, hopefully the rain should let up. A little confidence lift. Oh, good. I have at least a little bit of traffic to work through. Well, no time to really react to that. It was... I'm not going to blame the drive-car system on that one. That could just, well, you might be able to blame it, just like the drive-car not sure how to handle the wet. Keep it in third this time, just to... I'm just giving myself enough space to the car in front of me because there's not a good place to try and stuff a pass. I might be able to down heading, the braking to the tower, but that's really a timing thing. Which, no, I'm not going to be close enough for that. We'll stay behind him here for a little bit. I think the next one is going to be the left-hander at the bottom of the hill. It's probably where I'm going to look to set up a pass. So... if I would have gotten a really good run out of here, you might be able to get alongside, but... Alright, let's see if I can get him at the bottom of the hill here. Oh, it's treacherous, he's still on the outside. So you can see the big puddle there on the inside. If I can get him into Loudest Kink. Oh, I got a good run here. Alright. Next place I would have tried to set up a pass is going into this corner. Easy on the throttle, easy on the throttle. Oh. I was about to say, it's like I almost hit the puddle on the right, the puddle on the right side again, only to hit the puddle on the left side. At least it stopped raining, so that's risky. Wasn't sure if that was going to work. Almost binned it there. A little bit of a train forming behind me. I take it all these are the cars that have pitted. So I'm going to drop to DFL once again. Brake very early just because of all that traffic, and let's go ahead and avoid that traffic. Oh my. Short pit lane, not a lot of time to drink. And usually when I exit, there's really no, if I remember correctly, there's no defined pit exit lane or blend line. So usually I just keep it to the right and then rejoin at the side. So I'll actually keep it way out here and I'll join about there. That's what I normally do. And that just leaves the inside open just in case you're exiting pits in traffic. So 42 seconds. We know we've got a drying track. We just got to... Oh, that was bad. Okay, I'm rewinding. I'm sorry. I'm rewinding. I'm better than this. That was me brain fading. Because I didn't brake. You have to brake when you cross that hill. Yeah, the grip's not completely there yet. So I turned in and felt the car was starting to push wide. So just eased off the throttle, get some grip on the front tires. hit, hit, miss. Oh, look at that line of cars. Do I take the lunge? Yep. Just not close enough to make it happen. We'll try the nifty little outside move on the driver tar. As long as I don't bin it. It's probably not going to work. He's going to drift high. I think I'm still giving up some time to them through here. I am not as confident as they are. I need to remember, I need to run my pace. I think the F1 cars are holding up the works as well, so... I expect a big check up here. And it's so narrow back through here and there's so much traffic. I'm going to bide my time as best I can and see how many of these guys I can get on the straight. That's assuming I get a good exit. There we go. All right. Take a look. Seeing a lot of puddles. That's a good sign. Except for that one on the outside. Come on, come on, come on. Turn, turn, turn. I'm going to brake. I may not have a choice because they're... Oh. The track is drying out. Same thing here. Probably not going to get much passing done until that run down to the bottom of the hill. Right now it's just about trying to maintain the gap. But if you're going to give me that, I'm going to take that. Thank you. Not sure which way he was going to go. Questionable racecraft, remember? I always say it. There's a little room on there. And that only works because the driver tires are a little bit slow on the inside of the carousel. You notice as soon as I dropped tires on the left side, first thing I did is I just backed out of the throttle completely, made sure the car was set, merged it back on, then got back on the throttle. So we're pretty much at a dry track now, which is what I wanted. It was a bit of a lunge. Oh my god, come on. We're making the 69 Indy 500 winner do what it's not set up to do. going to get a good draft off of them. I'm too far back to really get... Maybe not, because I've got a head of steam. Come on, 178. Take a look in turn one. Nope. That's me not paying attention. That's me looking up at my lap time and not where I was on the road. Finally got a dry racetrack, no puddles. So let's push the pace a little bit and see if we can pass a couple more cars before the race end. Luck. It's usually slow here, but tough place to figure out how to pass. But it's one of those, like, the second I had the run, that's when the natural driving line brought him over in front of me. Try and pass him on the left side here. A little offline. Again, just getting it out a little too far out to the curb. Too much. Too aggressive on the throttle and exit. That was me completely missing the braking. That was a little aggressive on my part, but it's like, door was open. Well, I'm in fourth, which means our P1 cars are all in the lead. But holy crap. Talk about getting destroyed. I thought that they would have a little more problems in the rain than I did. I'm not sure what lap they pitted on, but and staying fourth. All over the track. Almost binned it again. So that is Nürburgring Nordschleife in the Ferrari 312 in rain. Again, not saying we're going to be in rain, but depending on Matt's mood, it would not surprise me. Though, at the same time, he's got to drive in it as well. So hopefully we run this in the dry. That could have been a little bit better. Glad that one's over with. So again, probably for Thursday, wouldn't surprise me if this is only a 4-lap race, even rain or not. I don't think it would be more than 5. So with that, that is the Nordschleife. I would say it's probably, if you watch the rivals thing, because I think that's the better example of optimal conditions. But hope you guys having a great weekend, and we'll see you on Thursday. Happy racing.